Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Bishop Dr. Lawrence Mwamba. We are here in Dallas, Texas, where we are preparing to open up our Bible college at the Word of Life Bible College. We would like all those who are interested to become students at this college to register with us. All you need to do is you go to Word of Life Bible College, Word of Life Bible College 3, the number 3, at gmail.com. Then just indicate that you are interested in becoming a student at our college, and we will send you pre-application data. And that will be it. You should be good to go. So if you're really interested in becoming a student at this college, please let me know. Contact us and we'll work with you. I've been in ministry for many years, over close to 30 years now, because I was called by the Lord in 1980. I did my training in Nigeria, where I did my Associate of Arts degree for 2 years in Nigeria. And when I completed my training in Nigeria, I came to Zambia and started up a ministry known as the Pentecostal Believers Church of God. The ministry lasted me for over 12 years. After the completion of 12 years, I did a lot of travel. I traveled across the world. I went to Europe. I did a lot of outreach ministry in Europe. I went to Amsterdam. I had street evangelism in Amsterdam. I went to Emelo, which is actually in the Netherlands. I did ministry in Emelo. And then this was an outreach. It was even good to meet Brother Andrew's wife. You know, those who have read the God Smugglers, Brother Andrew. I met his wife in Emelo. That was amazing, because I read the books about God Smugglers, how he smuggled Bibles and took them into Russia. And then to meet his wife in Emelo, that was very touching. I was living in Utrecht, and we had meetings also in Utrecht. And then we had this Billy Graham Evangelistic Association put up a very big meeting in Amsterdam itself. And so we had all these itinerant evangelists come from around the world. It was a very impactful meeting. Then apart from that, after that, I went to Sweden. I had a friend of mine, Lashkana. He had been a missionary in Zambia, because I'm originally from Zambia. And we became good friends. He used to come to my house during the weekends and minister in my church, the Pentecostal Believers Church of God, which had 300 members. Then he would minister in my church. We became such good friends. When he left, because at weekends I would go to the mission base where he was in Luanshya, and then I would be there with them, minister with them, had a good time. Then when he left for Sweden, he invited me. I went there and had the 2 weeks of meetings in Sweden. Not only that, he kept on inviting me, and I kept on going to Sweden. I ministered in Vagara, in Kumla, in Hene, in Hallingsås. All these are towns in Sweden. It was a dynamic development. I enjoyed myself there. Made good friends. He's a good friend of mine, Lashkana. He has a missions work in Africa. And so then, when I came back, I built a Bible school in Zambia, which I opened in 1990. And I trained over 100 students who are all over the world. Some of the students are here in the United States, where I'm broadcasting this tape from. And some students are in Botswana, some in South Africa, some in Malawi, and some in Nigeria and South Africa and many other countries in Africa. Now, after I completed that, I went on television. I did the Hour of Breakthrough on the Zambian national television. Then prior to the broadcast, I had a radio broadcast on Channel 2, where I did the Breakthrough broadcast. And that was for 30 minutes. Both of the slots I had on television and radio were for 30 minutes. And potentially we reached close to 2.5 million people. Then I moved on after doing television. I opened a lot of branches in Kitwe, Greater Works Tabernacle in Kalulushi, the House of God Church in Lusaka. We had the Revival Ministries Church at Kafue Roundabout. In Indola, Gospel Lighthouse. In all these churches are opened. They were all, I had, the pastors I trained were running all these branch churches. So I became the presiding bishop over the work. And so, you know, I'm a bishop, Bishop Mwamba. Then from then on, God opened doors for me. I had interactions in ministry with El Park. Bishop El Park, a great man of God from Atlanta, Georgia. I joined the organization for, you know, evangelical churches, where we used to meet every year in Atlanta, Georgia. And we had a great time there with pastors. Through that, I met people like Wayne Clapp from North Carolina. I visited his church in North Carolina. We became very good friends with Wayne. He came to Zambia. We had big meetings. We had meetings in Ndola. I put him on television and radio in Zambia. And we had meetings in Luanshya. Then from all there on, you know, I'll travel across Tulsa, Oklahoma. Traveled Missouri. I was with Roland in Missouri. He introduced me to his churches, a network of churches. I ministered in Eolia, in Crystal City, seeing many lives touched by the power of God. Then, you know, as God would have it, I traveled. I had one of the teachers who came to my Bible college in Zambia. He became a guest teacher at the Word of Life Bible College in Luanshya, Zambia. This name was Ernest Glave. Ernest was from Port Talbot in South Wales. He invited me too, so I flew to London. Then he picked me up from London. We drove all the way down through Cardiff to Port Talbot in South Wales. And I had good meetings there, was blessed of the Lord. We had a great time. You know, Ernest had blessed our Bible school in Zambia because he had been there for 3 months. I lived with him in my own house, and he ministered at the Bible college. It was encouraging to see students graduate. You know, it was very encouraging. You know, I had a very vast ministry. I was a very close friend of President Chiluba and his wife, Vera Chiluba. I gave him a lot of tips from T.L. Osborne to try and build his spirit. And while we were good friends with the president, I invited Richard Roberts to come in for crusades from Oral Roberts University. Richard Roberts came to Zambia. We had an impactful, powerful meeting. He was kept in the presidential guest house in Mufrela, where we had a crusade there, and also in Lusaka. It was a big coordination in which involved the president himself. So we were so blessed to see so many lives touched by the power of God. Then from there on, you know, I had a variety of meetings all over across the country of Zambia. I had, like I said, Roland, you know, we had different ministers that came. Ron Sutton came in. I had other ministers who came from Nevada. I had friends of mine who came from New York to minister. When Clapp came, I had a lot of ministers here in Dallas, Texas, who came, like Dr. Christine Edwards, with my dear friend, is now late. They came. It was a lovely and great time. So I crisscrossed and I went to seminary in Massachusetts at Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary for my Master of Divinity degree program. There, after I did my studies, God blessed me. I moved on, came to New York. Upon coming to New York, I ministered greatly at Teen Challenge. I was with Teen Challenge, you know, as a guest speaker, speaking to the drug addicts who were on for a program to be set free from drug addiction just by the power of God. It was a blessing there in New York. I had a friend of mine who was from Staten Island, a namesake, Lawrence. He's a pastor of the Baptist Church, and I ministered greatly in his church there in actually, it was he had his church in Queens, but he lived in Staten Island. So he would drive, would pick me up, would go to Queens, and had a great time there. And then I met a lady also who was from the Caribbean countries, and she had a big ministry also. I had a revival there with her in Queens for 2 weeks. It was a powerful, powerful time. Well, God bless me. I traversed and traveled extensively. I did. After I moved on there, I had a big meeting in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with Pastor Green, who used to be my pastor years ago with the Assemblies of God Church. So I had a blessed time there, and moved on, and God now called me to just settle in Dallas. You know, because when I was doing ministry, we had an office in Belton, Texas, under WeGo with Dan. Dan was Keckley was our president of WIGO, and they did all my administrative work. I had friends of mine like Karen Nelson from Stockbridge, Georgia, who was my accountant. Worked in coordination. In fact, Karen Nelson visited Zambia. She came and was one of my guest speakers during the women's conference. And so it has been a tremendous travel reaching the world for Jesus Christ. After I did that, then the Lord spoke to me strongly that I should settle in here in the United States and open up a work. So I founded a work here in Dallas called the Word of Life Bible Church Fellowship International, and then also founded a Bible college called the Word of Life Bible College. I've been since preaching on radio, on Blog Talk Radio, which is an internet radio service, and we have now reached 6,000 listeners. 6,000 listeners, and I'm still there. And now we are getting on YouTube. I'll be having teachings on YouTube. You can hook in, check me up, Bishop Dr. Lawrence Mwamba. You get me on YouTube. During my traversing and travel in St. Louis, Missouri, I lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma for over 1 year, and I was, working there, and I was attached to the ministry of Carlton Pearson. I would go visit them on Sundays. I was not part of his ministry, but I spent a lot of time at Oral Roberts University at the Mabi Center there with this brother Docherty. He's gone on to be with the Lord. His church there, Victory Ministries. And I had an outstanding ministry also with T.L. Osborne in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I attended his annual conferences and was blessed. I received training also from Rhema, Tulsa, Broken Arrow with the Kenneth Hagin ministry, where I did a long distance learning for 3 years. And upon leaving my seminarial studies, and traversing and having ministry in New York and across, the United States. Eventually, the Christian Bible College of Rocky Mount in North Carolina granted me a honorary Doctor of Divinity degree. So I can comfortably use the name Doctor before my name. It's a Doctor of Divinity. So this is what it is. I've been really traversing, and now we are building a work here in Dallas, and we need your support. We need your prayers. We need your support. We need both financial support, material support, because the Bible College, we are looking for a venue, a good venue where students can sit in class. We have an office for myself, an office for the student dean, an office, a general office like for the professors at the college. Then we need more mobility, we need more vehicles, and you can be a blessing if you can give us a vehicle towards this ministry, because the pastors we train, ministers we train, most of them are going to go overseas. We want to impact Africa and Europe. We're going to fight back against what the fundamentalists are doing, these people who don't know God. We need to send a message, a powerful message of the saving power of our Lord Jesus Christ to go across this entire globe. So, I have a ministry that runs as Mwamba World Outreach School of Ministry here in Dallas, Texas. In fact, my broadcasts, like I said, are on Blog Talk Radio. So if you want to be part and parcel of this, you are very welcome. You can tune in and listen, and God is going to bless you. Well, this is my first phase of my introduction to the Word of Life Bible College and also the Word of Life Bible Church International here in Dallas, Texas. This is Bishop Dr. Lawrence Mwamba signing off and saying I'm going to talk to you again. God bless you, and bye-bye.